we'll start off with roll call. I'm Rich Stork, Chair.
Dean Quindell, Treasurer.
Sue Means, Board Member.
Matt Anderson, Board Member.
And then absent Al Powers. All right, we're gonna move right into the approval of Tuesday, July 2nd, our last minutes. And we have a copy here. Right away on the top it says approved, but I'll make sure that that gets, corrected. I don't know if she's been turned approved anyways. Other than that, I am looking for a motion to accept the meeting minutes from last month, July 2nd.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And July 2nd minutes are approved. Pretty simple. All right. We'll move right into the wastewater operator update. Terry is here.
Flow's been up, but with a holiday weekend, I suppose it had a lot to do with it. But total for the month was 395,390 gallons. Averages out to be 12,754.5 gallons a day.
Okay, average.
The high was 4th of July, of course. That was just over 20,000 that day. And the low was the 23rd. At about 8,600 gallons.
April 23rd. What?
8,600.
8,600. What was the total again?
Total for
The month of July? Yeah.
395,390 gallons.
390 gallons. Right. So just in case it didn't get picked up, so the total for the month was 395,390 gallons. Average was 12,754 a day. I was on the 4th of July at just over 20,000 that day, and the low was on the 23rd at about 8,600. So we're below our daily average of 15,000 at 12,754. A lot of water was going through this month anyway with the rain and stuff. Okay. Anything else you want to report on?
No, you got the MPCA stuff, and the only other thing is the trees need to be trimmed going back to the pond. Do you want me to just take care of that and just do it, or? It's basically a tunnel going back to no.
Okay. All right, so I'll make a note.
I can grab a pole saw and just trim them, I just didn't want to.
I got the perfect guy to do that. Trim trees on road. Bring canopy up.
And Rasmussen must have sprayed the weeds stuff on the pond here a couple weeks,
Yeah.
a couple 3 weeks ago, because they're all dead, so.
Yeah, so he did treat for weeds this last month, and I'll get to that. I think we're looking for an approval for that, the building up of the ponds yet, right? You gave us that quote,
Yeah,
and we just haven't approved it yet. You provided it for us.
yeah, I remember what it was last month, but I have to look at it again, we got it, so.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a note to bring that up.
And it's been really windy, the ponds have been pretty good, but it's been stagnant now the last few days, and the duckweed is pretty thick out against that. Might have to treat it again.
Okay, Chairman update. So this kind of ties into what Terry was saying with the permit. We talked about it last month that, we're coming to the 30-day period, grace period to get our permit information into the MPCA to actually receive our new operating permit. Terry again completed doing all the work, and then he met with myself and Tina one night a couple weeks ago. We sat down and just kind of gathered all the information and put it into an email, and we sent that out with the operating information plus what we would do to treat for phosphorus. We sent that out twice over the last 2 weeks to our contact there, Rachel, because Terry had not heard anything, and then you called them again today, and you actually talked to Rachel, was that today?
Yeah,
that you
talked to her
her?
again today, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And she said she didn't receive any information, so then Terry sent it off a third time to her and waited on the phone, and so she finally did receive that information. And basically, they have everything they need to reissue us a permit. I would imagine there's gonna be some sort of a cost for that, but we'll be looking for information to move forward with that. So I think we got them the information in enough time to get that permit moving. Other than that, and I'll let Dean talk a little bit about the expansion, I was in contact with Matt, Chris Ziegler a couple times and several times this month. Dean got involved and Becky Myers did get involved a little bit too. We finally did get over that hurdle with our power bill and started moving forward. They accepted our power bill and we started moving in the right direction as an entity of Shorewood Park Sanitary District, updated basically with the new address, so on and so forth. Every time we do something, it takes 2 or 3 days to get a response. We did get a kickback, and there was a discrepancy with our tax ID number and our name, so I think Dean took care of that yesterday.
I did that this morning, actually.
Okay.
Our tax identification number was 1 digit on from what it was supposed to be. So we got that straightened around, and I got a response from Chris saying that that worked out for him. So moving forward with their project.
So now it's like another 3-day delay, and we'll see what the next response is. But we're in the portal now, and it's moving forward, and I'm anxious to see what the next step is on securing those funds for the expansion. Other than that, I think I'll just report on the cleanup of the park. I think Andy did a good job, finished up what he said he was going to do, burnt off all the brush, organized all the extra wood, and he's continued to burn brush up there as people have brought it up there, and it's all stacked. I think he did a really good job, and I just want to throw out a shout out to him and say thank you for that hard work, because it is looking good and he's keeping it up, so we do appreciate that. That's basically all I have for the update this month.
Rich, did Al talk to you about the trees that we're going to have ECE look at?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So last month we talked about a couple of trees that are leaning on I think it's the west side of Shorewood Circle Drive there. They are leaning a little bit. They're big, tall trees. He did call out ECE to come out and take a look at them to see if they would take them down or if they were concerned about how they were leaning towards the power bills. And their response was, we're not worried about those trees right now. So they seem to think that they're okay for now, and I think we'll just move forward at that point. I don't think we'll move forward to taking them down. We'll react if they come down. I think as far as the park goes, you were going to try to get together with Al and come up with some sort of procedures. We'll leave that as an open item
Okay.
for you guys to, work on at your leisure. But we'll just move forward with the way we're dealing with it right now with, if a tree comes down, we'll communicate probably with Andy or whoever, and we'll make sure that everybody's signed off on those waivers.
Well, I kind of wanted to talk about that again. I rewatched the meeting, and I kind of felt that there were some misinterpretations by some folks about how we handled that. I think we handled it really well, like I said in last month's meeting. I think there's some things in this neighborhood that we're going to have to be reactive. We can't always be proactive. We have to be reactive. And I also appreciate that Andy was able to jump on that. And what I was saying is instead of telling Andy that he's not allowed to do that, hiring him to take care of it and hiring him and paying and reimbursing him for the time that he spent cleaning it up was the right move. I think we made the right move on that. And there was a comment about how we set a precedent that every time a tree goes down in the neighborhood that it's a $450 bill for the neighbors, and that's not the precedent. That's not the fact. The fact is, the precedent that we set is that now there is an ability for our neighbors to sign a waiver and to go into the park and to clean it up at their leisure. and that will not incur the neighborhood cost. That's the only precedent that we set, and I just wanted to make that clear to the neighbors.
Very well stated, appreciate that. Any other comments? I think with that, I think we'll move right into the financial update. First on the financial update is current checking account balance, and I don't have that phrase since Tina's not here, but I'll make sure that they hit the minutes of what the total is for this month and where our balance is at. Next would be the investment fund balance. Do you have that information?
I do not, because now it's directed right to the.
Actually, that can,
address.
all right, so we'll have to see.
Shorewood Park, so
Right.
Tina will have all that information.
Okay, so we're gonna wait for Tina's information on that also. And she would fill in the fund of the balance and then the cash value. That may not have hit the mailbox yet, so that's probably why it's not on here. So we'll catch up on that next month. We're gonna pass on the budget review also because we don't have the budget. I think you can tell right now, this is just kind of a boilerplate of our agenda. So we're gonna move on from that. We'll pick up on budget review next month also. We're gonna move right on to number 7, presentation of the bills for approval, and I have 4 that we have to take a look at. This month, ECE bill for $184.96. LLJ wastewater invoice of $1,700 on monthly bill that we have for LLJ, and Terry, we're gonna need an invoice for that.
I think she sent it out to Tina.
Okay, all right, so that's probably, we're just gonna approve that, because that's a monthly deal. I don't have an invoice for that yet. And then, we did get the bill or the invoice for the surveying of the property up around the sign. That approval of this invoice of $600, we did approve that work earlier, a couple months ago. I'll set these up for, well, then the last one is for Rasmussen for this month. I'll go over that, because that's $1,749.42. So it's, you see, they mowed the ponds a couple times, mow and trim Shorewood entrance, mow the upper park, didn't mow the small park. Mow and trim the lower park lakeside, and then this month they did treat for weeds, so spray weeds around the ponds, mow the ponds another time, and then this time they also mowed the pond drive. They don't always do that every month either until it gets overgrown. Mowed the ponds a 4th time. So we are dealing with a lot of mowing this year. Mow and trim Shorewood entrance, mow the upper park, mow and trim lower park. So they did the parks twice this month, so they didn't make that adjustment.
We are on schedule. I didn't hear anything from the other dean that Dean Rasmussen, I didn't hear anything from him about them having an issue. So I think it's important to me that we follow through with what we were promising, that, you know, we only mow twice a month, and I'm glad that he accepted our ask of him to reduce to that, and I'm happy that it worked out.
Okay, so with that said, I'm going to pass these out, and I'm looking for a motion to approve the bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Bills are approved. Old business, expansion. Is there anything you want to say on the expansion, Dean, for an update? I know there's been a little bit of communication back and forth.
We had talked about it earlier in the meeting, and basically I don't have anything new other than Becky and I will kind of work with Chris on an ongoing basis, try to keep him on straight and narrow to keep working on this proposal for the expansion money. And hopefully it'll go soon. And we'd like to know what more steps we have to take before we can get the approval for the money. So I think this is basically what they're doing is to know us, basically, the feds, so that they know who we are, and it's a logical situation for them to fund the money for this project, so.
Tim Corby did reach out, he was checking on it, seeing if we were moving forward. There was some talk of some potential other funding from the county, and that had to do with the Chisago County grant that's out there. I think there's still some communication going back and forth with some of the residents on that. And Becky's working with Dan Albert on that.
Right, Becky's working on that, and what they have is money available individually to apply for sewer work. And it doesn't really specify for connections to city sewer, but they thought that it would be a good use of funds. So they're going to look at their wording of their application. And one of the neighbors had gone down to pick up applications, and it said that we weren't available, we couldn't be on that program. But I think that was before anybody's got together to discuss the terms of what needs to be, so make it a little bit more broader for our application process. So I think it kind of jumped ahead of getting Dan Dollar's work done, so we'll see what happens in the future.
So Dan and Becky are kind of working on that behind the
Correct.
scenes. Okay. Other than that, I don't have any other information on the expansion. You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing is, and we'll talk about it, I think let's talk about the neighborhood night out on Friday the 9th.
Okay. Well, we have the night planned. The mayor will be coming. Representative from Rush Lake Improvement Association, the Sheriff's Department, I talked to them, the fire station. They were going to try to make an appearance, those two, depending on, what's going on. And Carrie Faircall joined with me to help plan it. And we're going to have food, beverage, some games, and it was put on the website, correct?
Yes.
And then I went around and put flyers on everyone's mailbox, just for those who don't. So, and then I hope everybody comes and gets to visit, and I think there might be other things for kids.
Yeah, I just need an address where you want it dropped off, and how long is it for, a couple hours?
A couple hours.
Okay.
From like, it starts at 6:30, so.
6:30 to 8:30 or
Yeah.
9 o'clock? Or?
Something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You have
I
an
can see
address where
that's-
you want it dropped off at, or?
Well, I don't know, just the park, the middle of the park, there's a playground there.
Well, since you're going to borrow it to us, Tim, can we drop that bouncy house off at your house?
Sure.
All right, and then does it just need 120 volts to plug
Yeah,
in?
just a cord for it, yeah.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Caleb will probably set it up, it's a friend of mine, he's got it, so he'll probably get it set up, and he'll come back and pick it up, so.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, I might, I'll probably talk to maybe Rick and Lisa to see if I can run an extension cord from their garage over to that area. I got a couple long cords.
I got some too.
Okay, maybe, since I'm not gonna be there, I'm gonna be busy that night, I'll drop some extra cords off to you. And then if you wanna work with Terry, and then he's just gonna donate that first year?
Yes.
That's very nice. Yeah,
Okay.
so bouncy house for the kids.
Bouncy house for the kids, so that'd
That's
be
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
That'd be great.
So it's gonna be a little cool, so bring a sweater, jacket, 65, I think is the
Nice.
temp that night, so it's gonna be a good night. Anybody has questions, just contact me.
All right, thank you to Sue and Carrie for arranging that. It was fun last year, so I think it'll be fun again.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, so new business, the only thing I have on new business is signs. I think that's kind of still hanging out there.
So, go ahead.
Yep, so basically we did hear back from the property owner up there, and he did mention that they do have that green sign and he's gonna return it, but I have not seen it yet. But we are still gonna install a new sign up there. So we'll have to get together with some volunteers that want to install that sign, and whenever that wants to be, let's pick a spot to put it, and I will, I'll call for locates.
So where the sign is situated is correct and is,
It was on our property,
okay.
but I think we're gonna put it, I think we can put it basically like Matt explained or kind of mentioned last time. We'll put it adjacent to or part of, and that speed sign that's there, and we'll kind
So
of,
move it a little.
yeah, we'll move it out a little bit from the monument sign, so it's clearly in our property and there's no confusion.
Okay.
I did respond to the property owners and, and let them know that that was gonna happen up there. The property adjacent to ours, that we would be reinstalling another sign. Now, that other sign that we have, it's possible to put it over at the other entrance. The only problem is we don't have property over there anymore. So all the property at that other entrance is owned by, the residents there. So that would probably be tough we could ask if we could put a sign up there. I could talk to Mike and Michelle to see if they would be okay with it. So that's an option. We'll see how that goes. We could always put that sign in a little deeper too on our property, just as a secondary reminder. So we purchased them, we have them, so we'll see what we can do with that. Any other comments? Any other new business?
I've been hearing through the rumor mill that there's a resident that I don't want to get into it right now, but there's somebody that's been spraying Roundup in the ditches around the entrance, and there's a rumor that they're spraying Roundup on our 2 acres. And that's a concern to me, because if we ever wanted to have some type of organic garden, well, that ship just sailed, because we just sprayed Roundup on it. And nobody has jurisdiction in this neighborhood to make any kind of anything to any of the property that's not theirs in this neighborhood. And again, I didn't see this. At this point, it's hearsay, I guess you could say, until it's not hearsay. But I think that we need to address that somehow. I can name names here right now, or we can talk about it later, or whatever. But
I just to interject here, I agree, especially if there's a wind or breeze and that carries over.
it's right by your house.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
No. And, and I care about the wildlife too.
Right.
I don't know, does Shorewood have to give permission for that to be done, or is that ordered to be done, or?
Well, just
how is that
like
handled?
you want to dump the channel stuff on that land, you
Yeah.
have to come to the board and ask.
Yes, true.
And the comment that was made is that we need to make this neighborhood look nicer. It looks kind of whatever, and we need to make it look nice.
I myself would like to say that should be brought before the board before any type of
I agree.
maintenance is done.
And the other comment was
on the
that
property.
they intend to farm the land next year. They intend to put corn on the land next year and give it to the Shorewood residents. That was the comment that was made. And so how they thought that they could just go ahead and do this is just beyond me. Especially since this person that I'm speaking about knows that that is completely unacceptable.
Well, I myself think that should be part of the park.
Rules, right,
Rules.
right, yeah.
Just like our burning pile, et cetera.
So that's why I wanted to bring it up. I didn't see any of it. There could be testimony made by the person that told me about it in order to make it official, and we could ask the person that they're accusing of it, if they've done it or not. At this point, I don't know what to do about it. All I know is now the option of an organic farm or an organic garden on that land is no longer an option, and that wasn't the choice that we made. And you've had, you meaning the channel committee has had the respect, to go through the motions and ask permission, and instead of just assuming and taking action on their own accord. And I just, when I heard this, first of all, I didn't believe it. And I, asked them some follow-up questions, and it's pretty certain that that's what's been going on, and I don't know what the intention of this person is, but they want to make the neighborhood, quote unquote, look nicer, is one of the comments. And then they also want to farm the land, and they haven't asked for permission, and that's their intention. and they're going around spraying Roundup in the ditches and, you know, not on their property, let's put it that way. They're not spraying the Roundup on their property. They're spraying it in our neighborhood and on our neighbor's property. And I don't know if the neighbors gave them permission that they're spraying on their property. But they're spraying around the entrance sign, they're spraying, you know, along the entrance road. And I just find that completely unacceptable. So,
Is there signs of, that it's been sprayed?
well, I guess if there's no weeds there,
That's what
I mean, other than that, I don't know. Like,
Being I live right across from it, I have seen spraying, but I have no idea what the
Yeah,
spray
I don't
was.
think there's been any spraying around the signs outside of what Rasmussen does. He's treating those areas, right?
The only place that he treats is the ponds that I know of. You know, I think the ditches, there was conversations about the ditches, and I think the one particular ditch that I know looks like has been sprayed and it's all killed off, and it has to do with the culverts. That's something, you know, we should probably look at, probably rip-wrap, and in my mind is probably the right way to deal with that ditch. I do not know, I can't honestly say what the results of treating to keep the weeds down in an open field, what that would do or wouldn't do. I have no idea. I know that I personally treat my lawns, and I don't know if there's a residual from that or not. I don't know if that's general practice to keep weeds down, just to keep them controlled. It's either that or we'd have to mow that and keep it controlled. So I think it's just something we have to, you know, probably further explore the best way to deal with that property and all our properties, right? We have both parks. It sounds like we have them. You know, the park's pretty much handled by keeping them mowed. But the other, you know, properties, the ditches and the culverts we talk about, they possibly need to be cleaned out. I don't see with all the rain that we've had really a backup problem with them. You know, as far as that 2-acre lot, do we keep it mowed? Do we leave it? You know, there's always that discussion what we want to do with it, right? So I think it's just something that, you know, we work as putting some basic rules that keep us, you know, under control and not too restrained, you know what I'm saying? Just like everything else. And I think it's just something that we got to continue to have conversations about. As far as treating it now, I think, yeah, if somebody can come up and say, this is the best practices, I'm going to donate it or whatever. You know, it just, you're right, we should talk about it before somebody reacts.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bottom line that you're getting at, right? Don't take it upon yourself just to start doing something, because it belongs to everybody. Even if you think it's right, you know, it still should be brought forward to all of us and explained, and we can make the right decision as a group, right? And that's us and anybody else that wants to add to it. So there's a process for anything and everything that has to happen in here, and we can't control everything that happens, but, you know, let's just continue to try to be respectful of all that and go the right process, right? None of us wants to be the police of Shorewood. We just want to all work together and clean up the community the best we can. So how do we proceed? I think we, you know, kind of get together and, like we talked about, a committee, and start putting some rules down, and we just started to develop some basic rules. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, kind of like how, you know, that it was set up if anyone does construction, you know, you ask, and then you pay a down thing, you know, that kind of has, you know.
Filtered its way out.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean, at least it was something that everyone understands.
Right. And how do we just need to continue to talk about it and get the information out.
Yeah.
So it'll hit the minutes. You know, we'll look at the minutes and see what Tina says or, you know, writes down, and then we'll make some adjustments one way or the other that way.
Yeah, you know, for those who don't know, Roundup there's been several lawsuits that have been claimed against, you know, Roundup, and, you know, that plaintiffs have won against Roundup for, you know, it being cancer causing, et cetera, et cetera. I have used organic pesticides and herbicides myself that are basically just acid based, and they just basically burn the weeds, and it doesn't have any residual effect on the ground. I guess that would be one way to treat weeds. But other than that,
I know the property owner up there for the 18 acres, they treated also.
With Roundup?
I don't know what they did something.
They have in the past, I don't know if it was Roundup, but they treated it with something.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
the chemicals
they were
that
out
was
there
used anywhere
spraying.
around here. I say Roundup as a generic weed killer myself, and I'm not gonna say anybody used Roundup around here. At this particular point, I'll just say, our properties, if we're gonna treat it for weeds or whatever, other than what's happening at the ponds, and we have a professional doing that's licensed and bonded and has been doing it for years, any other, I think they just need to bring it to the board and present it as a plan, and then we can approve it or not approve it. I think that's the best way to deal with it.
Yeah, then everyone's on the same page and
Yep,
all hears the same at the same time. I think that's good.
exactly. Is there anything else? I don't have anything else. I guess I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
First the motion.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Aye.